So for today, a number of the documents from the IRIC Museum have been relocated to the church foyer, including some old photos that includes one of the rest homes. This is not the original rest home. The original rest home we saw earlier at house number 408 just down the street. We have a couple of the newspapers from the 50th anniversary of the Church of the Nazarene held here, and essentially the entire front page of the October 13th, 1958 Pilot Point Post Signal describes the history of the Church of the Nazarene in the 50th anniversary, including a monument that we'll spend a little time seeing. The monument just a moment ago was the host site for Dr. Russum's prayer for Nazarene Bible College in the future of the Church of the Nazarene. The 50th anniversary, the Bethany Choir sang How Great Thou Art. I know who holds my hand and Jesus saves. And there's a description of the history of the Church of the Nazarene in Texas, including the New Testament Church of Christ. In 1902, I don't know this from any other source except this newspaper, the New Testament Church of Christ had 11 churches, and these were the ones, of course, started by the church mothers, um, including E.J. Sheets, Donnie Mitchum, and, of course, our most prominent of the ladies, Mary Cagle Harris. These churches include Roby, Swadonia, Mount Zion, Rising Star, Dora, Nubia, Abilene, Glen Cove, Buffalo Gap, Duster, and Merkel. Um, there was a school in Hamlin, and of course we know that the New Testament Church of Christ merged in 1904 at Rising Star with the Independent Holiness Church, which of course was C.B. Jernigan and J.B. Chapman's church. So you have some interesting information there, and it at least answers one of my questions that 11 of our churches in 1902 here in Texas had been started by our church mothers. That's very honorable of you. We also have a 1983 page from the newspaper here that described the 75th anniversary, and apparently it was expected to draw 20,000 people. And Amanda was one of those 20,000 people. The church building in which we're located now was dedicated on October 17th, 1998, after the church district famously discovered, what, we have property in Pilot Point, and for $100,000 as described last week in our class that Dr. Charles Jones talked about, we built this building on site. And speaking of Dr. Charles Jones, on the 100th anniversary celebration here at Pilot Point, Dr. Charles Jones was, in fact, the district superintendent. And so I think we even reenacted the Hallelujah March in in 2008. And so here is a copy of that brochure. John Knight was the general superintendent of record, and Roger Baines helped us sing Holiness Unto the Lord. Roger Baines was the minister of music at Fort Worth Fort Worth Northside Church of the Nazarene. And let me throw a little bit in. He, at one point, was my roommate. So I have a person close to me who participated in that. The church here at Pilot Point was reopened after Pastor Johnny Johnston retired in 2016. Pastor Dwayne Edwards came and reopened the church on June 12th, 2016, and it has become quite the showplace. One of the things that the church did was remodel the sanctuary. And so the sanctuary has become a bit of a modern showplace. It does have museum features, but it's very welcoming and contemporary, if I can say that. You'll notice that in these bins there are some important city photos, and not all of these relate specifically to the Church of the Nazarene. Notice the city square, full of some old cars there. A little different look than what we saw today at the museum. They thought you were always trying to pick each other up or something. Yeah, meat market. And of course, the Hallelujah March, maybe the most famous photograph in the history of the Church of the Nazarene, and Dr. Brazee. And here we have the photograph of the 50th anniversary of the Church of the Nazarene here on site. And a bit of an aerial shot. The new church is located right here to the edge of that crowd. And here is the rest cottage, which is located just down the street. And we were able to go buy this rest cottage from 1903 to 1974. Over 7,000 children were adopted out of Pilot Point, Texas, including a fairly significant number of Nazarenes today in the state of Texas. This home is now occupied by a young couple that is good friends with the pastor here, and it's about a 1,700 square foot house, so it was quickly outgrown. And so the other pictures that you will see of rest cottages here are of larger facilities.